Hello, this is the tradesight U.S. stocks and futures market preview and domestic economic data roadmap for the week beginning Monday, the 11th of May, ending Friday, the 15th of May, 2015. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal. Hope you had a good trading week. Here's a look at the ES front month futures contract. And we are still basically where we've been for quite a while. I'm going to draw a line here real quick. This is 2062.50, what we currently call the operating TriStar level in the futures contract. And you can see how many times this has been either the high or the low or an area where the market got stuck for several days on ever since November. And that's basically it. And we've traded up about 60 points and down about 60 points from that level. And that's it. The market's been fairly well contained and not doing much. And so you got to hope for a couple of decent trading days a week because the slow days are slow and you're stuck in a range. And it is what it is. That's part of the markets. But we're still looking for what's it going to take to get us moving? And we don't know yet. We do have, once again, running into this green static trend line that has obviously been resistance over the last 3 weeks. Have not been able to get a close above that, and just above that would be a new closing high for the markets, and that hasn't happened, so we've been stuck. We also have not quite hit the red static trend line below, which is the target on the downside. Obviously, you'd like to break either one of those and get moving. I don't care which direction so much. We can take it on the short side or the long side, be happy, but we'd like to get moving in some capacity, obviously. So here's a look at the S&P cash index. It looks about the same, of course. Here's the NASDAQ 100. Gained 57 on Friday on a big gap up on the unemployment number. Puts it, basically in the same boat, still in the range that it's been in 2015, essentially. The stocks only gained 7 on Friday with the number also mid-range for the last few months. The biotechs up 82 on the gap. Google up 7. Apple up 2, sitting on the 10-day moving average there. The VIX dropped sharply on the gap up and on the news after it was just starting to look like maybe the market was going to get some downward volatility, and then boom, this data pushes us back up and the VIX retreats because of it. Crude oil closed at 59.39, so under 60 after being above 60 for a bit on Wednesday and Thursday, back under 60 bucks. Gold up 4.8. Now the one that's interesting, 10-day moving average of the trend, 0.87. Remember, a close under 0.85 on the 10-day moving average is a very, very negative read for the market going forward. And I will tell you that if you add up the last 10 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the first 2 in the count that will drop off. So if we get a new day, the one 10 days back that drops off is around 1. So any low reading here around 0.8 or lower will drop off the 1 out of the average, add the 0.8, and this will probably get us that number under 0.85. So we're very close to this extreme reading, and we're going to keep an eye on this. This is very important because that's usually what can roll the market. Volume was up a little bit this week, except for the first day of the week was poor, super poor, at 1.5 billion Monday. But the other 4 days were all between 1.8 and 2 billion shares, so that's good. 10-day moving average of volume back up to 1.8, which is better than it's been. So at least we're starting to see some volume. And, it's okay if we get the volume first and the volatility second. This market would pick a direction, and I think the downside maybe would be a little more encouraging just from a trading perspective. The volume needs to be there as well. So it's coming back, and we're happy to see that. All right. Let's take a look at the intra-day action during the week just so you can see what the markets did. We'll go to 10-minute bars on the ES futures contract. And, again, Monday, gap up, flat day, finally sold off a bit at the close but left the gap behind. Tuesday, opened flat and then filled the gap from Monday and kept going lower. Big downward day. That's what started to make it look like we were having some issues. And then look at Wednesday, the gap up and the immediate sell-off. And that's the point where you think, wow, here we go. Finally, this is going to get moving. And we bounced a little bit and then rolled and rallied late in the day to get back to the view app, which is fine. You can still be in sell-off mode with a little relief rally. But then Thursday we came in like it never happened, opened flat and pushed up for the day, flattened out, waiting for that NFP, non-farm payroll number Friday morning, and then the data comes out and you get the big gap up, and Friday's fairly flat and uneventful as Fridays often are. So it brings us back to we actually gained about 5 points for the week on the ES after really Tuesday and Wednesday looking like, wow, maybe this is finally it. Maybe we're going to sell off. Here's the NASDAQ futures. Same picture. Look how flat Friday is. Horrible. So that's it. That's what we got. The markets are still in that stuck area. There's nothing we can do about it. All right. On Monday, no data. On Tuesday, JOLTS job openings, Treasury budget in the afternoon. No big deal. On Wednesday, MBA mortgage index, retail sales, import-export prices, all that before the bell. Business inventories 30 minutes in, crude oil inventories an hour in. That's the weekly number. Thursday, initial and continuing jobless claims. That's the weekly number. PPI, that's the minor inflationary number. Natty gas. And then Friday, Empire manufacturing number. Industrial production and capacity utilization, Michigan sentiment in the afternoon, the net long-term tick flows. So none of our biggest numbers, no unemployment rate, no Fed meeting, no major earnings, massive amounts of major earnings anyways. I'm sure somebody's releasing this week. Uh, no holidays, at least here in the U.S. It's just a straightforward trading week, and that's great because the week after this one ends in Friday going into Memorial Day weekend, so Friday's going to be light. So hopefully we get a typical week where Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday would be hopefully the best trading days, but maybe get some action Monday as well. Friday is always a little bit questionable anyways. We will be in the lab helping you make money. You're free to take a trial of our services if you have not already. Charts brought to you by eSignal, as they always are. If you do like our videos, please like them on YouTube. It does help us out. Have a great trading week. Thanks.